Hey, what's up, Meta Labbers? It's Pops, aka Cypher Win from the Meta Lab here, back again with a channel update and kind of deck update video. I know I haven't posted much. 14 was an interesting format for me. Going into it, I decided I really wanted to grind Ace and see how good I can do in qualifications. I ended up going X3 in pretty much every event I played in from a big regional standpoint. So kind of had some highs and lows in the format. After that format, decided to play Blackbeard, my goat, in a bunch of 64 mans and ended up winning pretty much all of them. So Blackbeard's still OP, best deck in format. Ha 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 ha. But I did want to post kind of what we're looking at and kind of where we're going to go with the channel moving forward. So I have decided for OP14 that I'm going to play two different leaders, both the GOATs, both the black leaders of choice. I originally was not really a fan of Emu. I thought it was a little unique and different, but realized that I was just being silly and dumb, and this leader is actively cracked and broken and kind of plays very similarly to having the kind of different levels of fun that Blackbeard has, but the same level of fun. So today I'm going to go over my lists. I'm going to show you the current version, which is 13 compatible, so everybody can see that. And while we wait for OP14 in the middle of January, you can still pilot these decks, but I will also show you the changes that I'm thinking of and the changes that I'm currently testing out for OP14 deck lists going in. So we'll start with Emu, and then we'll work our way over to the GOAT himself. So lastly, before we get started, talking about channel updates again, like I said, we'll see more gameplay videos and more content coming through relatively soon. I found more interest into the game. The team is growing strong. We have a strong list of dedicated One Piece players, so we're going to start seeing some more hopeful content from them coming out into the future. So you'll see some deck guides on Mihawk, Boa. I know I'm going to get a couple of guides on some blue-purple Luffy action again, so more to come on that. So you'll see more gameplay videos and some more deck dive discussion stuff for everyone, and then some more exclusive stuff for channel members as we continue to grow up. The team is also starting started to play Riftbound a little bit and to get into that game. So I'm either going to start posting some stuff on here, or I may make a second channel exclusively for Riftbound content. So anybody interested in that game as well can have a side channel there. In that game, I like to play Kaisa a lot. It's been my GOAT, so no surprise there. And then I'm looking at Ezreal in set 2. So if you are interested in those types of games, do let us know in the comments here, and then we'll work on that as well too. All right, so getting into the deck list. First off, Emu. I don't think I need to explain this leader too much. It is the new black leader of choice in the format. It just gives you some unbridled plays and some power you can do. Typically, the game revolves around two stages. For the long and short of it is, in every matchup, you take the Empty Throne. This card is absolutely busted. It's absolutely broken. And then against the Mirror, you take the Marie-Joie, so they can't KO your stage, and you get to continue to play the game. But actually, both of these stages are pretty cracked in what they can do. This one is basically a free Dawn every single turn for all of your Celestial Dragon-type characters, so you can just, like, puke out boards super early and super crazy, which is super powerful. And then this one just cheats Dawn, lets you play big stuff. So absolutely broken effects. The Emu leader, again, reminds me of Sakazuki in the fact that I just get to pitch a blank card and draw a brand new card every single turn. So just that pure cycling and that ability is crazy. On top of, I can sack units on my board to draw cards. So now I'm actually like plussing in cards in hand from card advantage. So it's usually pretty cool to be able to do that. So you get to play some cheap bodies that just sit there all game. Just play them, search your cards, sack them off, and draw. And we get to go forward with that. So that's the basis of the deck list here. Moving into the list, we do play 4 copies of Shirahoshi. It's 2K counter. It is the non-searchable 2K in the deck, but it's really strong in being able to force your opponent with large hands to discard a card. But also, there's a lot of games where you end up kind of going through your whole deck, and being able to use this to recycle some cards is super powerful. There is an infinite loop with this card where you can like constantly recycle and play 10 Elders over and over again. I think that's like a 0.01% of the time you get into that kind of situation. But the most part, you're just going to use this, put a couple key pieces back into your deck list, and be able to stay alive long enough to finish off your opponent in the long and grindy games. If the games do end up going super duper duper long. But otherwise, it's just a fantastic 2K counter. Next up, the Searcher of the Decklist. 4 copies of St. Charlia. It's probably the second, third best Searcher in the deck. There's 3 total. I go back and forth on how I like this card. This card is very good. You get to play it early. You play it early. You look at 3. You grab 1. You trash 1, and then you sack this to draw a card. So this combination with Emu's effect is really good. The trash 1 is a little annoying, but it really does help you fill your trash because you are looking to get to that 10 cards in trash threshold. 7 to protect your bodies, but 10, once you're at 10 or more, all of your effects are basically online. So that's how I genuinely perceive it. Is I need to get to the base thresholds of 7, 10, and then 19 are your thresholds there. Once you're there, you're kind of set up. But 10 is also an important number in there. But overall, very good card, 1K counter. You play it early. It does lose effect after a while. So like usually this is really good on turns like 1 and 2. And then after that, like you just almost never play this card and you're ditching it for effects or you're ditching it for counter. But you really, really, if you open this in the early game, you feel great because you just get so much filtering. Our searchable 2K of choice, Saint Mausgard, green-haired guy. That's what I call him. This guy's really good. He's his 2K counter. I think I've cast him 0 times, so I don't even know what he does. He gets to play a stage with a cost of 1 from my trash if you have 3 or less life. Great. We're never doing that effect. This is literally just a 2K counter. So, but again, searchable 2Ks are very good. The best searcher in the deck, Saturn. Look top 5, grab a Celestial Dragon, do the thing. I don't think I need to explain much on that one. I'm just going to go through these guys really fast because these are the core of the deck list. Warcury, amazing blocker, block draw card, super strong into the deck list. Mars is probably one of the better of them. On play, trash a card, KO a 5 or less base cost, so that's really good and really strong in what it does. My favorite one of the elders is definitely the horse. The horse being able to gain rush and then give something -2 extends your plays so crazy. If you have horse into elders back into horse, you can give something -4 and basically get cards out of their hand and guarantee the KO, or just like dump their hand to save a body. It's usually pretty good. And then of course Jupiter, the worm. The worm makes all of your guys super huge, and it makes them super hard and annoying for your opponent to deal with. And then the Elders, again, no real super duper explanation on this. This card is just really good. Play it, use its effect, bring all your guys back, just plus a million on value for 4 Dawn. It's just super crazy in what it does. This card's absolutely broken. Absolutely love this card. Never existed in the first place. I mean, it's a rad beam, right? It's a free 4K counter. And then the main effect is if your Emu opponent is stupid and decides to play the empty throne, you just get to free pop it. But otherwise, this is just a 4K counter. Really good searcher, top 3, trash 1, free event. Again, you really want this in the early game, but this is a little more utility in the later stages of the game in that it lets you can use the activate main effect on trigger, or this one just kind of like, it's a searchable one more so because it's also considered a 5 elders, so your Saturn can grab it. So it's really good in that effect. That's why I argue like which one of these is truly the better one. I tend to lead more like 5 elders at your service, but Charlotte's really good in the early game. And then the last 2 cards for the core of the deck are 2 copies of After All These Years I'm Losing My Edge. It is a +1K that if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you get to add a black character back with cost 3 or less. So you get to get back this 2K, you get to get back this 2K, and you get to do some crazy things there where you just get to cycle back a 2K and be a free 3K counter. Or if they swing 5, you use this to counter 6, and then you buy a 2K back. So now they have to swing like a 7 to ask for an additional card. So really good that way. It lets you use your Shirahoshis for counter 2 early on if you need to, and then play this, pick them back up again, and use them late game to cycle through. So it's 47 cards. The last 3 cards of the deck list, these are the swaps that I would make. I would run the same core for OP14 format. The only changes that I would make is in current format, we're going to play an additional copy of After All These Years I'm Losing My Edge, and then 2 copies of St. Charlos blocker that I think is really good and really strong into the deck list. So this is another card then with the St. Charlos blocker that you get to pick back up again and get back off of You're after all these years, I'm losing my edge event. And this card is really powerful in some of like the mirrors in the games where you get to play it and use it as a free blocker instead of asking for cards, because genuinely you want to be at 3 life when you're activating your first 5 elders. It's really hard from that standpoint for your opponent to kill you, because you just generate 2 free bodies a turn that are free blockers and essentially 2 bonus life if you need to. So this card really helps in the early game. It dumps a card in your trash and fills it up. For 14, what I would change that with is I would change that with 3 copies of this card, Ground Death. This is a new card that's going to be coming out. This card's really cool and really strong. So it's not searchable, but what it is if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, it's another Radical Beam, so another plus 4k counter, which is super huge and super impactful into the games. But then it also has that dual mode effect where you can rest 2 Dawn in this card, so 3, and the cost for this, which is 1, so 3 Dawn total, and you can negate the effect of one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 5 or less for your turn. So it's essentially just like a Black Vortex that you can activate in your main effect. So let's get to Black Vortex of 5 or less. So any of those pesky 5 or lesses that can't be KO'd, you just play this and negate it, and then you get to play your Mars and just pop it and clean it up right off the board. Or if you're playing against a green deck and they have like a Tashigi on the board, just play this, negate the Tashigi, play this, and pop the Cavendish, right? So this does add some extra levels of play pattern to these particular cards. It's also really good in the mirror as you get to negate one of their Celestial Dragons, or their 5 elders, and then kill it with Mars, right? So this does have a little more implications into the mirror. So the first effect is actually pretty good, and then obviously the second effect of having 8 4K counters in the deck is just crazy. So I would replace these 3 cards with 3 copies of this card here right now. We may go up to 4, working on the list and trying to figure it out. I may cut like after all these years down to 1, but obviously this card's really broken. I would definitely pick up 4. I could definitely see going up to 4 in the future. So that's it for Emu. Again, a really solid pick. I think this deck is going to be meta still in 14. It does have a little bit of a weakness to Boa, but I think over time as we work through, we can work on kind of what that looks like and how to handle those particular matchups there kind of going forward. So moving on, my GOAT. You guys all know I love this deck list. Best deck in format forever, at least in my heart of hearts. This card is super strong. I just love being able to make game states as simple as possible with this leader and kind of do what it does. I've made tons of deck guide videos kind of explaining this leader, so go ahead and check those out if you want to. But really here today, we're just going to talk about the list really fast and then the changes that I would make to the list and the 2 versions that you can play. So going into it, 4 stage, best card in the deck. Absolutely love this card. 4 Strongers, again, fantastic 2K. I cannot wait for the alt to come out for this card and get copies of it. 4 Caribou, again, blocker 2Ks, pretty self-explanatory there. 4 Lafitte's, again, phenomenal searcher. I think most people undervalue this card. You play this card on turn 1 and you leave it standing, and then you will find opportunities where you get to use this effect later on, and then it becomes kind of a pseudo free blocker, which is really kind of good and strong into the format. This is a little bit of a contentious pick. A lot of people, I'm playing the blocker heavy turbo version, as you guys will see as I kind of lay out the full deck list. A lot of people play Vivi in this slot, and I really like Vivi. But I get really annoyed when, like, I start whiffing searches more. So I opted to just play 4 copies of Vasco Shot. I haven't noticed a major difference between the 1 and the 2 Dawn. It's come up a couple of times where, like, I wished Vasco cost 1. Would have been a little bit better. But for the most part, like, I find the searchability of this card pretty high. So I've opted to play 4 copies. This is probably just like a me pick after like being so hyper focused on this deck for so long. You can probably get away with VV and be just fine. It is probably a more powerful card, but again, I really value my consistencies on my stage. I feel like when my stage is hitting, I'm winning 20% more of my games, so I'm definitely more inclined to play that. 3 Shiryu. This is another additional 2K I wanted to play. I wanted to keep my 2K count pretty high this format. There's a lot of big 8K swings and a lot of big swings coming in, so I felt that having the additional 2K would help out in this situation. So we opted to play these. Again, you don't rarely ever cast this card. Again, it's mostly just as a 2K counter, but Again, all the 2Ks and everything like that are all designed to protect this man right here, Jesus Burgess. Removal is super light right now. I know this card is hard to be KO'd anyways, but even those annoying, like Ace is playing 2 copies of Red Rock, they're not playing any Gravity Blades. Everyone in current format is so scared of Emu that this card is just a house that's going to come onto the board and just annihilate people left, right, up, and down. So 4 copies of this guy. He's the main goal of the deck. Follow Led, Lafitte are all around to find this guy and to find blockers to protect him and keep him alive. Get him big, get him swinging, and he will do work. I opted for a weird split. I had 2 slots left over for blockers, and I opted to go with 1 copy of Shiryu and 1 copy of Katarina Devon. Both of these slots are mainly to bring back off of additional copies of Kuzan that we'll talk about later, both the 5 and the 6 drop. But each serve kind of different purposes. I think Shiryu is better in the early game. It's a huge statted 8K blocker, so it gets around some pesky, annoying like rest shenanigans and like carrots and crap like that. And just being big statted is usually pretty good. And then on KO, it gets to kill something with cost 4 or less, so I found some value in that as well. And then Katarina Devon is also a very strong blocker and kind of like a pseudo second Burgess in the fact that when I don't want it to be a blocker, it can be a double attacker or a banish lifer or something to that effect. So I ended up doing the split here just to see. I haven't had any issues with it. I've actually really enjoyed it. Again, I focus so much on using Full Lead and Lafitte's to kind of search through my deck for these cards. I tend to find them when I need them and to use them accordingly. Again, 4 copies of Kuzan, one of the better cards in the deck. It's uncuttable. For this version, because I'm so blocker focused and because I'm a Burgess turbo deck, I am playing 4 copies of this Kuzan. I feel like overall in the community, this card goes up and down. People love this card. People hate this card. I'm a big fan of this card. I don't think this card does anything in the removal heavy versions, but outside of that, in these Turbo Burgess control decks, having this card available to you to just bring back your Burgess, to bring back your Kuzan, to bring back a Shiryu, a Katarina Devon, and just a Vasco shot. This is probably the worst one to bring back, but being able to bring all of these like 4 and 5 drops back from the board, from the grave when it dies and get a free block out of it is really insane. So, you know, kill Kuzan, bring back Kuzan, swing with Kuzan, bring back Burgess. You draw a card and you put another body back on the board. Absolutely incredible. Kill Kuzan, bring back Katarina Devon. You know, they killed a 6K blocker and you just got another 6K blocker back on the board. So it was almost like a weird free block in that aspect there. So super strong card. Again, the 410 drops. I think it's a 410 drop format. I think, spoiler alert, next format is also a 410 drop format. So we'll continue to play 4 copies of this card. Card's absolutely nutso broken. 4 copies of My Era Begins. Another amazing searcher, especially in Burgess Turbo. Fills your trash up, gets your trash going. And then the last couple of events in the deck list is 1 copy of Black Vortex. This is for those annoying Zoro matchups, and for decks like Gold Roger. Then we'll swing at you. Hopefully you have 1 life left. They'll try and put you to 0, and you'll just Black Vortex the Roger. It'll lose its rush ability because they usually don't attack with that first, and it loses the abilities so then all your blockers that you have turned back online. They can't kill you. They're Omega sad, and then you win the game. It's really cool. This also works really good against Emu in some capacity. They swing at you and you give minus to the worm. The worm loses 4K power, so it's never attacking the Jupiter. And then the card that attacked you now becomes a 5K, so it's much easier to block or defend out of or counter out of. And then because of Emu and because of some of these removal decks like the Marcos that are super annoying that give them cards, I'm playing 4 copies of Black Hole. So because of my ability to negate effects, I really like Black Hole here because it just straight up negates the effect and KOs it. So it's the easiest way to trade those Mercuries and those Marcos without giving them free bonus to draw. And then again, it's pseudo unblockable for something like my Burgess swings when I want to use that and use Dawn to kill them. So this is the current list of what I would play for Blackbeard in this particular format. Now, for the swaps, I go back and forth. I still think, and I'm still testing in very early stages, that Burgess Turbo is probably still a good enough pick, depending on how the format shakes out. Like, I believe that Emu will be a pretty solid contender in the format, but that being said, when I'm looking at a lot of the other lists and what can be done, I am looking at a couple of options to kind of slot into the deck list moving forward. And that's to bring it back into a more of a removal heavy package, to counteract a lot of these boas and these Mihawks that are running around that are trying to be a problem. So this is kind of the consistency of cards that I'm thinking around. I'm still playing with numbers, so I don't know. I don't want to give a certainty on what I would cut today and what I would cut. Obviously, you would take out things like the Kuzans, and I don't think we need the Black Vortex anymore, and you could probably cut down on the Black Holes a little bit and can figure that out to make the most sense. But these are the interesting cards that I'm thinking about right now. Obviously, we have the Doc Q, Van Augur, and Laboon package. Just a phenomenal package and able to kind of clear up the board and clear some removal targets from the board. Shiryu KOing 3 costs, I think, is really relevant in this format, potentially, and being able to just be a big 7k swinger on the opponent's turn. Or 7k power rested character on the opponent's turn is huge, so it's hard to interact with and clear, and you get to poke numbers a lot of the times. And then the events, 4 copies of Finger Pistol. This card's really good. The point with these 2 cards and the point of this removal package is basically the cards that I was the most concerned with going into this format are a couple of things. One, it's 9 cost Shanks, or 7 cost 9k Shanks that kind of has that activated ability. A lot of this can kind of clear up a lot of that Shanks problem here with the Finger Pistols, the Laboons, and the Doc Q combination with enough stuff going on can kind of handle that problem there. And then Boa as a whole, that whole triggering out of life is really annoying for us, right? We don't like things triggering out of life. We like keeping simple game states. And then Doffy can really flood the board and kind of move our attacks around, and then that Virgo card is super annoying for us when we're playing a removal build. So things like Finger Pistol help clean that up and help alleviate some of that. And then because like if they play the Virgo and they attack you and you trigger pistol and you pistol the Virgo, they can save it, but then they have to don -1, so you get a free removal option there. And then if you have another way to remove it in that turn, you can, or you can play this, have them trigger their Virgo, and then play your combination here to clean it up and get it off of the board. It's super cool and super annoying to get rid of. And then the liberations actually I think are really good for Boa in my head. So Boa being super annoying, right? The last thing we want is that when we clear a body off of the board, we're forced to take a life, right? We want to try and conserve our life as much as possible. But if they're really board flooding, the most annoying cards are definitely the ones that let them attach Dawn to their leader. So things like the Gorgon Sisters, the other one that lets them just kind of put free Dawn on them. So Liberation is a card that I was pretty excited about in that one. This kind of beats up the board flood deck. All of their cards are basically within this range, save for the big 9-drop version. And then this kills 2 bodies on the board. So yes, we will have to take a life for them having a Dawn on their leader and us killing a card. But at that point, we're taking a life, but we're removing 2 swings from the board. So the value there is a lot better because we're removing 2 swings for and taking a life versus removing 1 and taking a life. So I think there's some value there in being able to kind of diversify your threats. And then like you have weird things like Finger Pistol plus Liberation is very strong. And then again, Finger Pistol out of life on their turn to KO their bodies, so you don't have to worry about taking. Well, you would take the life because you triggered the pistol, but then you wouldn't take the additional life from killing it there. So I think there's some value in that as well. So I don't have the 7-drop in here right now. He's obviously very good, and he may be tested as well. I think he might end up being a little bit too slow in this particular format to get down. But Blackbeard is definitely, as I kind of expand upon this removal package and what this looks like, could be another great option to the list as well. As we kind of work through the listing here. But yeah, that's my thoughts. These are what I'm thinking. Like I said, let me know in the comments what you would like to see more of from the channel. I'm going to continue to post a ton of Blackbeard and Emu content, and I know I'm going to get my group in to be posting other stuff. So if there's other leaders you want to see, let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to make videos and kind of post some deck breakdowns for those and what that looks like, as well as if you guys are interested in seeing some Riftbound on this channel, or if you would want me to make another channel for Riftbound, let me know in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to help. But yeah, that's the channel. Expect more coming soon, but until next time, peace.